Hey everyone, and welcome. Whether we realize it or not, there is this invisible force working away in our financial lives. It's in your bank account, it's on your credit card, it is completely reshaping the entire world of money. And that force, it's artificial intelligence. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this quiet revolution. Think about this for a second. Have you ever gotten one of those texts from your bank? Just seconds after you make a weird purchase, asking, hey, was this you? Well, that's it. That is AI in action. It's probably the most common way we all interact with this incredibly powerful system that is, behind the scenes, changing everything about finance. So, that little fraud alert on your phone? It's just the tip of the iceberg. But it points to a much, much bigger story. So, why? What is it about finance that makes it such a perfect place for an AI revolution to take hold? Let's get into it. To really get this, let's look at what someone on the front lines has to say. Apoorv Saxena, he's the global head of AI at JP Chase, and he points out these three key ingredients. First, finance is just a world built on data. Numbers, transactions, patterns, it's all data. Second, all that data is already digital. It's already in a language machines can understand. And third, decisions have to be made fast, like really fast, in the blink of an eye. You put those three things together, and you have the perfect storm for AI to not just work, but to absolutely thrive. Okay, so to really see the impact of all this, let's dive into one of the biggest battlegrounds where AI is being used right now, the ongoing war against financial fraud. So in the old days, right, fraud detection was all reactive. You'd be looking at your bank statement days, maybe even weeks later, and you'd spot some weird charge. Then you'd have to call the bank, deal with all the hassle, the money was already gone. But now it's totally proactive. Machine learning algorithms are checking transactions the very instant they happen. They're stopping fraud before the money even changes hands. It's a huge shift from damage control to straight-up prevention. But here's the thing, it is such a delicate balancing act. Because if the AI is too relaxed, that's what we call a false negative. The fraud gets through, and someone loses money. But if it's too strict, a false positive, your perfectly legitimate purchase gets declined. And we've all been there, right? It is so frustrating. So for these systems, accuracy isn't just a goal, it's everything. And the stakes here are way higher than just an annoyed customer. As Carly Jocks from Visa's CyberSource puts it, when a fraudulent online purchase happens, it's usually the merchant, the store owner, who's left holding the bag. So you can bet that businesses are under a ton of pressure to get this right. And the sheer scale of this is, well, it's hard to even wrap your head around. Just look at this number, 21 billion. That is how many transactions Visa's CyberSource platform processed in a single year. That's not a stream of data, it's a fire hose. No team of humans could ever monitor that. This is exactly where AI becomes not just helpful, but absolutely essential. Now here's a really cool story about how these systems have to adapt. When the pandemic first hit, the AI models started freaking out, flagging a huge spike in one-way international flights, which is usually a classic red flag for fraud. But the data scientists dug in and realized, wait, this isn't crime. These are just people desperately trying to get home. So they quickly retuned the models to understand this new, totally unique human behavior. It's a perfect example of how AI can't just be static. It has to learn and evolve. Okay, so how does the AI actually make these split-second calls? Is a transaction good or bad? Let's take a little peek inside what they call the black box. It really boils down to two main ways of learning. The first is called supervised learning. Think of it like giving the AI an answer key. It studies millions of past transactions that have already been labeled for it. This one was fraud, this one was legit. The other way is unsupervised learning. This one's more like a detective, an anomaly detector. It doesn't need labels. It just looks at a person's normal behavior and asks one simple question. Does this look weird? So how does that supervised model work? Well, it often uses something like a decision tree. It's really just a series of yes or no questions. Is the purchase over 20 bucks? Yes. Okay. Is it in Canada? No. Has the card been used in more than 2 countries today? And based on all those answers, it spits out a risk score. It's basically a super fast, super smart flowchart. Now, that unsupervised model, the anomaly detector, it looks for a strange mix of clues. Like, imagine a huge purchase happening in a country you've never been to, from a weird IP address, and the system sees no record of you ever buying a plane ticket there. All of those signals together just scream, something wrong here, and the system flags it. And look, AI's influence goes so far beyond just catching bad guys. It is shaking up all sorts of other core parts of the financial world. Just take how we prove who we are. We're moving on from passwords that we always forget anyway to something way more secure and personal. AI is the engine powering all this biometric security. We're talking face recognition at ATMs, fingerprint and voice ID on your phone's banking app. They're even working on tech that can identify you just from the unique way you tap and hold your phone. How wild is that? Lending is also getting a whole lot smarter. AI algorithms can crunch through a loan application in minutes, not days. They can look at all sorts of different data, which can actually help people with a thin credit file, like, say, young people just starting out, to get approved. And they can even predict which customers might be thinking about leaving a bank, so the bank can step in and try to keep their business. So, with all these incredible possibilities, how does a giant bank or financial company actually make it all work? Turns out it takes a lot more than just hiring a few tech geniuses. Yeah, the real challenge for these places isn't just running a few cool pilot programs in a lab somewhere. The hard part is figuring out how to scale that up and use it to transform the entire company. So, what's the playbook? Well, Apoorv Saxena at JPMorgan Chase breaks it down into a three-part strategy. First, you have to build the foundation, the right infrastructure. That means your data has to be clean, easy to find, and you need the raw computing horsepower to train these massive models. Second, you've got to think bigger. Don't just automate one tiny step. Use AI to rethink an entire business process from beginning to end. And third, use AI to create brand new things that just weren't possible before. Think truly personalized financial advice delivered through a chatbot you can talk to. And at the end of the day, it all comes back to this one fundamental truth. Like Carle Jacques said, your model is only as good as your data. You can have the most brilliant algorithms on the planet, but they are absolutely worthless without tons of high-quality, well-organized data. It's the fuel for this entire engine. But of course, this incredible technology comes with some really big challenges. A lot of the most powerful AI models are black boxes. They give you an answer, but it can be almost impossible to understand exactly how they got there. Then there's the risk of bias. If the historical data you train an AI on is biased, well, the AI will learn and sometimes even amplify those biases. And finally, you just need so much data to make these things work well, and that can make it really tough for smaller companies to keep up. So, as we've seen, AI is already this huge, mostly invisible force in our financial lives, doing everything from stopping fraud to deciding on our loans. And that leaves us with a really important question for the future. As we hand over more and more control to these algorithms, how do we make sure they aren't just powerful, but that they're also fair, transparent, and ultimately trustworthy? Something to think about. Thanks for watching.